Hey everybody, this is Out of Characters, here with something that's a little atypical for an upload to my channel. Usually I like to stick to like scripted content. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience going to my first regional, which happened yesterday on January 11th in Columbus, and I wanted to do a deck profile because I did pretty decently. I got 26th out of 301 people and earned my first WCQ invite. It was a really awesome experience. I definitely enjoyed it a lot, and the list that I played was made possible by all of you watching my videos because I was able to afford the good cards in the format. So let's get started. So I played Maliss Sky Striker, and the list that I played was pretty standard with a couple of changes that I wanted to talk about. It was based off of the top 4 list of Jackson Harville at the December 21st Pittsburgh WCQ Regional. So starting off, I played 3 copies of Maliss P. Dormouse and 3 copies of Maliss P. White Rabbit. This is a pretty standard ratio, nothing really to say about it here. I played 2 copies of Maliss P. Chessy Cat. Some people play 3 of this, especially in decks that go over 40 cards. I really wanted to stick to a 40 card list since I wanted the option to be able to scoop game 1 without my opponent knowing what I'm playing necessarily. And I felt like going over 40 would like maybe tip them off to Sky Striker and Maliss, and they might side in Lancias because of that. So I stuck to a 40 card list for that reason. Since I was an unknown player, I didn't really think that anyone would try to scout me and pass off the information to their friends. So on top of that, I played the standard 3 copies of Maliss in Underground, and I played 1 apiece of the Traps, TB11, BWC06, and MTP07. I tended to side out the MTP07 every time that I went second, and that seemed to work pretty well, help increase the number of sideboard cards I was able to deploy in my games. Next for the strikers, nothing really super surprising here. I played 3 copies of Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. I played 1 Widow Anchor and 1 Hornet Drones. This package I think is super crucial for this style of gameplay, where I think in this format you're trying to play a mixture of board breakers and hand traps and Maliss, since the Ryziel deck can often be like highly softened by a singular hand trap, but you don't really benefit by playing more than, like by getting more than 1. The Fiendsmith innovation definitely changes it a little bit, since it's ideal to have like 1 card to deal with the Fiendsmith portion, 1 card to deal with the Ryziel portion, and then you want 1 card for Detonator, which they can usually end on even if you have hand traps. So the nice thing about Engage is it's either like your best extender going first with Hornet Drones, or it's your one of like not your best board breaker, but a very solid board breaker going second with Widow Anchor. Widow Anchor can also be good to steal cards your opponents control, which since this is a link deck, it's nice to have extra bodies that way while also dealing with threats. To round out like the engine cards, I played like 1 Dotscaper just as a banish off of Red Ransom, like everyone else does. So moving into the non-engine, I played Blur of Darknesses. I only played 2 of these for kind of the same reason. Most of the decks that play 3 Allure of Darkness tend to go over 40 cards, and I wanted to stick to 40. This card is quite good though. I think I got rolled once in 9 rounds, which is really good. I don't think Droll is very good into Maliss, so playing Allure of Darkness isn't really the biggest problem that you open yourself up to. I played one copy of Called by the Grave. This can be good to like hit some hand traps. Like a lot of people are playing Ghost Ogre, and Ghost Ogre is deceptively problematic against Maliss since it really reduces the ceiling of the combos that you can go for if they pop your like Lizardos, for example. It's also a very good card to draw into if you combo off. Like one of the nice things about Maliss is that over the course of your combo, you can draw like maybe 3 times. If you have a good combo that goes uninterrupted. And Called by the Grave is a really solid card to set on your opponent's turn because it really deals with Requiem. Like, I think banishing Requiem is a very important way to combat the Fiendsmith engine, which is why a lot of people are playing Bestials at the moment. Called by the Grave is a really good way to take care of it going first. I played Gold Sarcophagus, and I played the package of the 1 talents and the triple thrust in the main. This is also quite a solid card for helping you get rid of Detonator specifically, since the Fiendsmith Ryziel version typically does not play plugin, so talents to take is a really powerful way to combat your opponent's board. Either they chain Detonator popping itself and then you take something else, or you take their Detonator and punish them if they try and use any other disruptions on you that turn. Those are both really good options. Thrust is really good in the main too, being a way to set like powerful non-engine both going first or search like board breakers going second. And I played a couple targets in the side deck for it. And speaking of banishing Requiem, so I played some Bestials, I played Magnamut and 2 Druisworm. These are also like probably your best cards into the Fiendsmith Ryziel matchup, because not only does Druisworm deal with the Requiem that cuts your opponent off of making Necroquip, or cuts them off from setting up the Lacrima interruption in Grave, it also is an immediate out to Detonator, or at least forces like the cross negate by going to Graveyard. You can link it off, you can go directly to battle. One of the things that I typically did was utilize an extender to make Little Knight to force out, like use the graveyard effect of Druisworm to force out the Detonator, then Little Knight to chain to get rid of another activation of Detonator, and often paired with some kind of board breaker that's enough to crack the whole board. The other nice thing about the Bestials is they're like some of the best extenders that you can get in Maliss, since Maliss cards all want to be banished to summon themselves back. So the ceiling of the combos that you can do with these cards is significantly higher. Like you can play a full Maliss turn with a copy of Lingaribo up the whole time to prevent your opponent from using any like Imperms or Dominus Impulses. And then the last piece of non-engine I played for spells were Book of Eclipse. This is like the 1 card out to the Ryziel board. I played 3 copies of Dominus Impulse and Infinite Impermanence, rounding out the main deck to a clean 40 cards. These cards are quite good because not only are they good hand traps, Infinite Impermanence is like one of the best ways to deal with Duo Drive, but they're also very good cards to draw for turn. Dominus Impulse can insulate yourself against Nibiru, which came up a number of times throughout the tournament, and they're also good to draw as part of your Maliss combo to create a board that's very tough to break through. Alright, let's get into the extra deck. I played a standard selection of Link 1s. I played Lingaribo, Link Spider, Kagari, and Decoder, all the ones that are required for most of the important Maliss Striker combos. I like Link Spider in particular because you can turn your token, your Sky Striker token, into a Cybers monster, and an effect monster, which is useful for making SP Little Knight. And it's also useful for going into Splash Mage, which, I mean, if you're making Splash Mage, it usually means that something has not gone right during your turn, but it is a crucial extender in Maliss. Lingeribo in particular too, I like just because of the trap negation ability. One of the things that I liked is that going second into Maliss, if you immediately make Lingeribo, it puts a lot of pressure on your opponent because suddenly like one of their traps just doesn't work. So it trades with one of the back row, and if they don't have like multiple traps, you can use it to trade for the GWC06. As for Link 2s, I played SP Little Knight, Splash Mage, and Haggard Lizardos. Little Knight was probably like the best card in the deck. There are multiple instances where I bricked or like drew the Dotscaper or something, or I got Lancia'd and I had to make Little Knight, and Little Knight plus a bunch of back row and some follow-up ended up being enough to like stall my opponent out so that next turn I could do a better combo and kill them or end on enough disruption that they couldn't come back. Like I said, with Splash Mage, it's important for some of the combos, and Lizardos is very important for almost every turn where you are playing with engine cards, not under Lancia. The other cool thing you can do with Lizardos is that if you open the Sky Striker package and no other cards, you can banish itself for a draw. I didn't do that, but I have done that before in testing. I don't know if everyone knows that though. And for the Link 3s, I just played the Red Ransom, the White Binder, and the Heart's Cryptor. I think these are all solid options, especially Heart's Cryptor in the grind game is crazy. The nice thing, or the thing that I really like about Maliss is it's very tough to like put a stop to Maliss once you get everything set up. Like people always talk about the layer disruptions on the end board, and I think the end board is crazy. But I also think that once you like go into a Heart's Cryptor or a White Binder and get some of the Maliss cards in rotation, it's very tough to get rid of them completely. Like you kind of have to banish them after their banish effect has already been used. If they're in the graveyard, you can get them out of the graveyard with like a Maliss in Underground or a Bestial or like the GWC06. And because of that, the deck really outgrinds a lot of the other lists. I think it does outgrind Ryzeal Fiendsmith specifically, especially, I mean, it depends on the hand, of course, but I think it is a massive advantage of Maliss to take your opponent into the long game because I think most of the time you're favored. And our Link 4s and 5s are playing Firewall Dragon, Access Code Talker, and Terahertz. Firewall Dragon is, I think, important as both like an end board piece, but you can also play it in like some of the greedier Maliss lines to add back cards. Even like Dimension Shifter, I never really ended up in a position where I added Dimension Shifter back off of Firewall Dragon, but that is something you can do. Access Code Talker is probably like your best extender going second. Like it's a classic Maliss play to make a Link 3 and then banish that Link 3 off of Access Code, or link it off into Access Code and banish it to pop something. And the nice thing about Maliss is the deck plays a variety of different attributes of cards in the extra deck between like Link Spider and Kagari and Lizardos, so you get a lot of pops off of Access Code Talker, which is nice. And then the last two cards for my extra were the Packbit and the D-Save Worm, were both targets off of Terahertz. Okay, and let's take a look at the side deck. So I played 3 Dimension Shifter for every deck that isn't Maliss. I played Artifact Lancia for Maliss, and I guess Orcust, I did play against one Orcust player. I played 3 Molcharmi Fualos. I pretty much sided this in every game going second. I think it's good into almost everything that isn't like maybe Centurion or Labyrinth. And I played 3 copies of Crossout Designator and Nibiru the Primal Being. One of the things that Jackson said about his list at Pittsburgh was that he wished that he was playing Nibiru over Harpy's Feather Duster, I think it was. So I decided to play Nibiru, and it did come up. I did cross out Nibiru twice. I was citing in Mulcharmy Fuelos as a cross-out target going first, and I did brick on it multiple times. That was probably something that I would probably want to revise about my particular siding pattern, since I didn't think it was super helpful to play the one Lancia, the one Fuelos, and the one Nibiru as cross-out targets. Like, if you draw Nibiru, that's kind of okay, because it's still useful. If you draw Lancia, it is what it is, because you have to play it with cross-out. If you draw Fuelos, it's pretty useless, and you can make like okay boards under Fuelos even if you don't have it for crossout, so I don't necessarily think playing it as a crossout target is fantastic. And for the two cards that I played as targets for Thrust, I played Artifact Sanctum for Maliss and Dimensional Barrier for YuGiOh. I would probably sub out the Dimensional Barrier for Different Dimension Ground, but there are other decks that get hit by it. Like, I did play against a Centurion player that I sided it in for. But I don't think either of these really came up that much for me because I just didn't draw Thrust very much. And that should be the whole profile. I wanted to thank a few people for helping the experience be good. So I watched guides by Team APS and Mark the Page about playing at these larger events like regionals and YCSs, and the advice that they gave for like what to bring, what to eat, what to drink were very helpful. I like made sure to pack some protein bars and like a sports drink, and drank plenty of water so that I could play the best that I could throughout the day. I also wanted to thank the people of Team Interstellar for hanging out with me during the tournament, since I had one of my friends named Eddie, shoutouts Eddie. He was like pretty much the only person that I knew at this tournament going in. So it was nice to have other people to talk to throughout like the 12 hours or so that I was there. And I will link their YouTube channel down in the description. So yeah, I am out of characters, so I guess this video is over. Thank you so much for watching. We'll probably get back to scripted videos very soon. I have one that I am editing currently, so be on the lookouts for that. See ya.